So the more time people spend online, the more they expose themselves to danger. And when it comes to cyber stalking on social media and the internet, the more we share, the bigger the target we become.
Online, anyone can look, like, and linger. But when fascination turns into fixation, it's no longer harmless. It's stalking, and behind every digital predator lies a psychological blueprint of obsession, entitlement, and blurred reality. In this video, we unravel the chilling mental patterns behind online stalkers and why they're more common than we'd like to believe. In this era, we are more connected than ever. When we scroll through our feeds on social apps, we see influencers eating breakfast, crying on camera, falling in love, and even sharing their most personal moments with the public. It all makes us seem like we are part of their lives. But this is where it gets a bit unsettling. The line between private and public becomes blurred to the point that it is gone. And when that line is gone, things can get creepy.
He's a cyber stalker.
So a cyber stalker is basically someone that is a stalker but all online. So Matthew Hardy, who was the stalker, he cyber stalked us through social media, creating fake accounts, constantly harassing us, watching every single move we do. There was never a moment where I felt at peace or alone. He was constantly watching.
Here, it isn't just about admiring someone online, but also inviting you to enter their private lives. For some, this invitation eerily becomes an obsession, and sadly, it extends far beyond occasional creepy messages. These stalkers go one step further and send out dozens of messages, track influencers' locations, show up at real-life events just to stalk them, and even threaten them. It's real, and it's frightening because it happens to the best of us.
When you see people online in this regard, they are very different people than when they're in person, right? Like suddenly people have all this courage. People will say things online that they would never say in person. They have a whole different attitude.
Pew Research says around 41% of Americans have faced online harassment, including stalking, in the year 2020. And if you are an influencer, that risk might double. Imagine waking up to know that someone followed your stories, figured out your address, and is now standing right at your front door. It might sound unreal to you, but it's really happening. Let's take a closer look inside the creepy world of online stalking and see what truly drives someone to cross these boundaries. What drives online stalking? In this digital age, stalking has reached the next level of an insidious and disturbing phenomenon. Unlike the traditional or physical stalking, this one happens in the quiet corners of the internet without the victim knowing about any of it. Let's take an example of an influencer with thousands of followers. This person shares their everyday life with their viewers, and out of nowhere, their DM gets flooded with unwanted messages that don't just ask for attention, but demand it. In the beginning, it feels like they are harmless and innocent, just commenting on posts and asking general questions. Before anyone knows anything, their actions become darker and vile. Their messages become more personal, controlling, and eventually threatening.
I thought it was a woman, started messaging from a woman's account, and I actually thought...
Just slipping to your DMs kind of thing?
Yeah, and just a message straight away, can I tell you a secret? That was the message, my lips are sealed, you can't tell anyone, but it's about your family. And straight away, when someone messages you about your family, you want to know the answer, or what are you going to say?
But it doesn't stop there. They even try to locate the influencer's whereabouts through live streaming or tagged photos. That's when things take a turn for the worse. They casually show up at their place uninvited. The influencer who once freely shared their life on a public social media account now feels trapped, constantly second-guessing every move they make online. In another case, a celebrity's identity was stolen by someone else, which meant it was falsified. But it wasn't a thief behind it, but a faceless stalker who did it for the sake of their obsession. The creepiest part was that the stalker didn't just pretend to be the celebrity, but also made fake accounts on different platforms, spoke with the fans, and created a lot of confusion. Imagine someone pretending to be you, saying things you never said, and making a fool of people who really care about you. This celebrity not only lost their identity to someone else, but also lost their sense of safety and peace.
She reported it within 24 hours of my first message because it was so severe and it was so bad. By the end of the 24 hours, he had messaged probably about 50 people.
So, how does a person become an obsessive stalker from an admirer? Well, online stalking doesn't just emerge out of nowhere, it is deeply rooted in a person's emotional state and psychological issues. For example, some people start with something as harmless as a one-sided connection, known as a parasocial relationship. They follow a celebrity or influencer to the point where it seems like they are a part of this person's life, all when this celebrity or influencer doesn't even know that this person exists. Over time, this closeness takes a solid turn and becomes an eerie obsession. This obsessed fan starts to believe that they deserve attention, time, and even love from that celebrity. They watch their shows, listen to the music they share, and scroll their feed. Without realizing it, the person begins to feel they know this celebrity better than anyone. They know their laugh, their personality, and even the way they sip their morning coffee. That person becomes so lost in their obsession that they start to believe they've shared real moments together, imagining a connection that only exists in their mind. In the past, it was only TV hosts and movie stars who had obsessive stalkers. But today, even the small-scale influencers, bloggers, and gamers face this serious issue, all because of how they invite everyone into their lives without thinking twice. Through reality TV shows and social media, people get to see the raw and real emotions, bedroom chats, and behind-the-scenes tears. This takes obsession to the next level, creating a fake illusion of a deep connection.
Now, where parasocial relationships start to become unhealthy? Definitely if it's interfering with your day-to-day life, if it's impairing your functioning in some way, like if you are choosing to be obsessed with your favorite celebrity instead of going out and hanging out with friends or actually dating somebody who you have a shot with.
Without even noticing, it turns into a routine, checking their feed and stories first thing in the morning and right before bed. What's even more unusual is how real these parasocial relationships start to feel. That person begins to defend their favorite celebrity in every comment section or conversation, just like someone would protect a close friend or even a romantic partner.
Online parasocial relationships get a really bad rep, and modern research suggests that they're not actually just unhealthy. You can have a healthy parasocial relationship or it can veer into unhealthy.
Then there's loneliness. When a person is completely cut off from people in real life, they turn their attention toward online celebrities just to get some comfort. However, instead of praising them from a distance, they hooked onto them too tightly. Soon, it seems more like an effort to fill a deep emotional void. At their end, it is not more than a harmless crush, but on the other side, it is just a desperate attempt to spark a connection that was never there to begin with. The psychology of obsession. A famous line goes by: stalking, rather than being a condition in and of itself, is a behavior that fits under the umbrella of symptoms for a variety of disorders. According to a research study published in the journal Aggression and Violent Behavior in 2012, stalkers may have psychotic illness, personality disorders like narcissistic personality disorder, and delusional disorders like erotomania. So, what is erotomania? Well, this is a rare mental health condition which makes you feel like, or gives you the idea that another person is deeply in love with you. This other person may be a celebrity, super rich, or someone with high social status, like a boss. This condition is also known as de Clerambault's syndrome.
Okay, so erotomania is actually a subtype of a delusional disorder.
Okay.
So it's a delusion. And the delusion is where somebody believes that it's usually somebody with higher social status. It could be your boss, it could be a celebrity, it could be the president, the queen, is in love with you or infatuated with you, even though there is no evidence at all.
This idea of being loved by someone is delusional because it's not based on reality. In the majority of the cases, the other person doesn't even know that someone who is fixated on them exists. Many people think that the stranger they have just met has fallen in love with them. So, if a stalker has this condition, they would do the following: constantly check up on other person through their social media if they are a public figure, send out letters, emails, and unwanted gifts to them. If they have somehow figured out their personal number, they will make continuous phone calls. They will be convinced that the other person is trying to communicate with them through coded messages on TV shows, news, movies, and their social media accounts. Come up with fake situations where the other person will follow them, stalk them, or try to get hold of them. feel jealous because of a feeling that the other person is speaking to their other lovers or may be disloyal to them, harass the other person in public to the point that they get arrested by the authorities.
So erotomania is only for the people who there's really no evidence at all. You
Gotcha.
don't know them, and it really causes. It really is something unrealistic because, like, if you're friends, then there might be a possibility there, right?
True.
So it's not a delusion.
Let's talk about a case from 1980 of a woman who caught a lot of attention. This woman was struggling with erotomania and thought that multiple men were in love with her at the same time and trying to pursue her. She was treated successfully after struggling for 8 years. In another case, which occurred in 2012, a man had a similar condition. It was a rather famous case involving a popular American singer who was dangerously stalked by that man. He was fixated on the idea that the singer was meant to be his wife. Shockingly, he even climbed the wall outside of her house many times. He was finally brought to trial and imprisoned for 10 years after he violently threatened her. In 2016, a married woman in her 50s was admitted to a psychiatric facility because she was in the delusion that her former boss was in love with her. On top of that, she also had a feeling that her husband wasn't letting her be with her boss. Besides erotomania, online stalkers with narcissistic personality disorder think they are worth more than others, convinced that others should admire and be obsessed with them. But many experts also think that online stalkers may be struggling with dependence on others. In this case, the stalker needs continuous attention, help, and acceptance from others. In a few cases, it might be borderline personality disorder, in which a person struggles with severe mood changes and has a fear of rejection and abandonment. While this happens to almost everyone, even if the other person doesn't know the stalker, most commonly, it occurs with people who've been in relationships with obsessive partners. Let's take a look at a similar case. An ex-partner of a young woman began harassing her by sending numerous emails and making repeated phone calls over a span of 6 months. Despite receiving no response, the behavior continued until the victim finally obtained a restraining order for her safety.
I loved working as an entertainer, singer, dancer, and Matthew pretended to be me and started sending my boss explicit pictures of me.
Oh my God.
Flirting, creating this sexual relationship between us.
Yeah, it was.
And there was really nothing.
The stalker made fake ads for hooking up with different people and selling adult content in the victim's name. In these ads, he had clearly mentioned the victim's name, address, and phone number. The victim later shared that she had received a lot of offers from men. The worst part was that the men had begun showing up at her house. This caused a lot of stress on the woman's mind, and she had to be hospitalized for psychological treatment. Consequences for victims. Blocking someone or changing your username doesn't completely help you get rid of the stalker easily. For many, especially influencers and public figures, the fear of being watched by someone doesn't go away that easily. It is not annoying. It's a deep fear that slowly takes a toll on their mental health. They can't sleep at night. They feel anxious all the time. The stress from this can be so extreme that it feels like they have been through a trauma. For this very reason, many victims end up spending a lot of money just to protect themselves. It includes installing security cameras, moving to new places, or hiring security guards. Sadly, it isn't even a one-time investment. The expenses keep piling up. In addition to that, the careers of these people also get compromised. They stop posting online and going outside to attend meetings, because to them, it is the only way they can stay safe. This ultimately means they have fewer job chances, less income, and they begin to grow doubts about themselves. The fear doesn't stop at the victim themselves. It lingers toward their family members and even co-workers. They stop feeling safe around them, and the victim ends up alone, drowning in the constant feelings of loneliness. Safety tips. Luckily, anyone can stay one step ahead of their stalkers and prevent this act from happening in the first place by following some safety tips. For celebrities or public figures, the online world can bring a lot of risk, but it can be minimized by working on the privacy settings. Regardless of who you are, you can protect yourself from cyber stalking. First, you can try searching for yourself on Google and see how easy it is to track you down. Anyone can figure out your home address, number, and other personal details after 1 to 2 attempts. You will be more shocked to find out how someone can gather a great deal of information about you if they are friends with your family or friends on social media. For example, they can know which bar you were at last Friday, or where you are going next week with your friends. On top of that, you may even come across some things that claim to be from you, but they are actually posted by someone else. For example, a fake blog or Craigslist ad with your name, home address, and phone number without your consent. That's exactly how cyberstalking begins. They find out every possible detail available on the internet about you, and before you know it, your every detail slips into their hands. So the first thing you need to do is follow some tips to protect yourself. Make sure not to share your personal moments online until they are completely in the past. A vacation might be a memory for you, but for others, it is the easiest way to track you down. Secondly, blocking, reporting, and filtering out messages and other stuff isn't too much, but the smartest way to shield yourself.
You need to have an intentional situation where someone is trying to cause you distress, and you need to have that fear for your injury or your life. And then you need to have an electronic communication situation. Without those 3 things, you do not have a claim for cyberstalking.
They don't necessarily have to say, I'm going to hurt you or I'm going to kill you.
As long as you have a reasonable belief that your life is in danger or that you're in danger of real injury. So that belief is what is important.
Ensure that you keep your posts set to friend-only settings. This way, only your friends can see personal updates about you. If you are a blogger or influencer, ensure that your posts are free from any signs that could help strangers easily find out your location. Don't allow social media platforms to display your phone number and address publicly. For added security, you can even opt for a separate email address for your account. If you need to share your number or some other private info with your friend, do it in private rather than in public. Leave out the optional detail boxes on social media, such as your birthday. Most importantly, only accept friend requests from people you know personally or have met in person. Customize your settings to accept requests from friends of friends to avoid getting unnecessary friend requests. Lastly, disable geolocation settings.
But if somebody feels like they're already deeply in the middle of a cyberstalking situation, stop. Don't give in to demands to send photographs or conduct sexual activity or send money. Don't give in to those demands. Just report it to the police at that point.
By following these tips, you can stay safe and protect your privacy from strangers and online stalkers. Remember, if you're facing a serious issue such as threats or privacy breaches, don't hesitate to reach out to cybersecurity experts or hire physical security to ensure your safety. If that doesn't help, report your situation to the authorities immediately, and don't go out if there's no need. Share your situation with your friends and family, also for your own protection. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like it and subscribe to our channel. Have you ever found yourself in a similar situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, stay safe out there.